doing it all for the thrill. I'm doing it all for the thrill. I'm doing it all for the thrill. You know I'm loving it like you was real. Doing it, doing it all for the thrill.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, everybody. Love you all. Have a drink.
Dolly, Dolly. And
That one is a shake. Here we go.
Okay.
Take the music off, please.
Yeah.
this was a bit softer, Rosie. That's
Music down.
Yeah, we don't need any music. That's
Thank you.
More.
It's all right, Roscoe.
now. What's
we
this
go.
stage
Can't
called?
hear.
It's called Grandpa's Breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Grandpa's birthday.
Oh,
Speak loud, please.
Okay.
all right, ready?
Today we're here to celebrate the happy and long, like really long, 77 years, and fulfilling life of Allan Grey. From his parenthood to his 70s heyday to having grandchildren to play English games with, Allan's life is not one to be confused. Here's some of his best moments. Being a parent, with all his different parenting techniques, I'm just not sure if he was ready for it. I'm still not sure. The 70s, the heyday of horrific flares and terrible long hair. In this interesting decade, he owned a roller skating ring and was the pinball king. While most parents didn't hoist 5 children onto their backs and jump into a large pool, it was Allan's trademark. Becoming an English teacher. Although most people when they retire want to put their feet up and watch telly, we remember this is Allan we're talking about. He set out to teach English in China. And finally, giving his eldest daughter a skydiving ticket for her 35th birthday. Hip hip hooray, now let's jump over a plane. Although not all of these his finest moments, I assure you my grandpa's not all that bad. He's caring, generous and a whole bag of fun, so let's give a round of applause to Allan Grey.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Can I have a look at that? Thank you.
Rosie,
Darling, that was so good.
Put the things on this.
Off the cup. Yeah.
From the heart.
Yeah, from the heart.
What's ad-lib?
What is ad?
It's sort of ad-lib.
It just
so
means
yeah,
you're adding
add
bits and
Yeah.
making that.
Yeah. All right. So Well, it goes back 49 years because that's how old I am now. But there's a lovely photo of Dad and I that you can see. It's on the screen in there, and I was probably about 8 or 9 months old, and Dad's holding me like this. And I always said that it's like Dad taught me to fly, and he really has. And I'm just thinking about why. So, lots of different ways, and very as everyone who knows Dad will know, he's very unconventional. So, when you get Dad as a dad, it's not a traditional style of dad. It's anything but. I think the kind of qualities that I'm left with are sort of those kind of qualities that money can't buy and tradition can't buy, and it's something that's much greater, and I've also passed on to my girls. There's a few of them, but one of them I think is bravery. So Dad, no one scares Dad, and nothing stops Dad, and anyone who knows him will know that if someone says no to him, he'll find another way to do it, and he'll find another way and another way. So no one, especially someone in power, cannot tell Dad what to do. So, and Dad sort of passed that on to me. I have a healthy disrespect for authority and question everything. So I guess becoming a journalist was kind of the right profession for me, because I still question everything, and I sort of taught that to the girls. They never accept things at face value. The other thing that Dad sort of left with me is I think empathy and compassion. And so Dad has always fought for the underdog, and when I mean underdog, I really mean underdog. He doesn't judge anyone. So Dad's friends are people in high places. He's been friends with and then lords and ladies like Jamie Smiley, people who own castles, and he's been friends with homeless people. He's been friends with heroin addicts. He still has friends in jail. And
Only
I
one.
think only one now.
That we know of, yeah.
Dad does not care what kind of finery you're wearing. He looks at what's on the inside. And
friends with piss spots, Alan.
yeah, and piss spots. So I think it's left me with a really actually what I would say is very non-judgmental. So take people as they come, and really, I'd say, it kind of enables you to have a much broader group of friends.
Your speech.
Because really he's taught me that I can talk to anyone, and a lot of people have got something to offer, and it's not usually the people in the fine clothes. So, and the other thing Dad has given me is something that he's always had, which is a great sense of adventure. So Dad, as you know, started travelling, I think when you were 18 or 21, you went to America first, Dad?
21.
Yeah, travelled around Southern America when it was still a very racist kind of place to be. And you went the Mississippi burning when it was driving through there in the 60s, right when the Ku Klux Klan was still around. And so things like that really excite Dad.
Still
so
is.
instead of driving away from danger, Dad likes to drive towards it because it's more fun and interesting, and he's always been like that. And Dad then went on to travel. There's nowhere almost you haven't been, Dad, I think. So when he had money running the clubs, you were travelling to France, to Africa, all over the place.
Brazil.
He went to Russia.
Yes.
Went through Russia on the Trans-Siberian, didn't you? All the Pacific countries. He went to Hong Kong, Asia frequently. So yeah, wherever Dad was always wanting to travel further and wider, and has met a lot of people who aren't here tonight this evening is because Dad's actually got friends. I was Facebooking people all around the world. His Dad's got friends everywhere still, and stayed in contact with them. So it's a sense of adventure, which has then for me led to becoming a journalist and doing international current affairs, which I love. So that sense of travel and wanting to know how other people in other cultures live has kind of stayed with me, and I hope to pass that on to the girls as well. Yeah, so I think like that fearlessness and bravery and non-judgmental way of being directly come from Dad, and they're all really the qualities that have helped me go on to do what I'm doing now. But enough about me. I'll get back to Dad. So that's what you've kind of taught me, I think, Dad. You know, Dad has had a very big and interesting life, as everyone knows. I think he's here. So from meeting my mum when he was quite young, he started off with one pinball, didn't you, in Cottage, and built that up into many, many pinballs and then billiard rooms, and then into the 70s to having clubs all around Sydney and up at the Cross. And I think at one stage you were known as the Pinball King, weren't you? When he opened a roller skating rink in the 70s and started the roller disco, and got into investing in films. Was it Little Boy Lost?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then branched out to buy land in Tambourine. Hi, Don. Buy land in Tambourine Mountain and build roads and all kinds of things. So it's funny when you look at Dad now. You wouldn't know. Sometimes when he was in hospital, I was thinking these nurses have no idea of the kind of life he's lived, you know, because you get older and frail, and people look at you and probably don't realise the big life that you've had and what you've done. I should say that all along the way, Dad has helped so many people. He's always given people a break, given them a job, you know, even when probably no one else would have given them a go. Dad's prepared to give everyone a chance. And I sort of give one example. I remember when of the kind of thing Dad would do is he'd always keep a spare jack in his car, spare tyre and extra spare jack. And I said, "What? You don't need that. You've already got one. You don't need two." And he goes, "Oh, if I break down, I might need a second one to help someone else." So it's the kind of thing he did. And yeah, so back to the 70s, of course, were Dad's sort of heyday. There was a lot of money rolling around. He managed to keep my mum and myself and my sister in very kind of glamorous, you know, very, very enriched life. Private schools. We had a swimming pool, a sauna. There was lots of big parties at our family home with hundreds of people coming. And my mum used to make that punch that we got over there, but there was big 70s style parties, wasn't there, Dad? Yeah. Literally where you had the Robbie Burns night, and there would be so many people in our house, I can't tell you. People jumping into the pool, in the sauna. I mean, you had good parties. I think you were known for your parties.
That's a small group.
Yeah. Hundreds of
Punch
friends.
bowl made of ice, remember?
That's right. Yeah.
Punch bowl made of ice.
Yeah, and you had the Robbie Burns on the Robbie Burns night. You had that ice.
Punch bowl made sculpture.
Ice sculpture. That's right. So lots and lots of big parties and lots of money around. Of course, when you got lots of money, there was a lot of hangers on as well. So you're sort of the stayers, and I do appreciate that. And then Dad sort of hit hard times. Was about 82, 83.
83, yeah.
Yeah. So from the kind of dizzy heights of having a lot of people around, a lot of money, and everything was lost over a series of about a year or so. Everything went. And Dad had ended up sleeping in his car for a few months, didn't you, Dad?
Yeah, and in somebody's garage.
In someone's garage, and basically looked after by a few ex-girlfriends that didn't have any money. So Dad always said, you know, you've been rich and poor, and rich is better. But often the people with no money were the ones that helped him in the end. But then you built yourself up again, Dad, didn't you? You got into gambling machines again. Put some of those in the
poker
machines. Put them in the Cross and a few other clubs.
Yep.
And that sort of, you started to build yourself up again.
Until they made them illegal.
That's right. So I don't know, there's probably Underbelly, which is a drama series made about the Cross on Channel 9. Yeah. Well, Dad was actually, you know, that's kind of half Dad's life, really. So if you ever want to really see it, just watch that series. So they actually featured Laser, one of your clubs, in one of those episodes, and that was Dad at the Cross. So you can imagine Dad knew some pretty interesting people. Stan the Man and John, who was it? Stan the Man was
Abe Saffron.
Was a
Stand
standover
over, yeah.
man, Abe Saffron, who used to run the cross.
Yeah, that's right.
So all those.
Lenny McPherson was my mate.
Oh,
Good
right.
old Lenny McPherson.
Right, yeah. Well,
Don't get that on tape.
Yeah.
right, okay.
So that there was the underage school kids in one barn, all the
Yeah.
females in the other.
Oh my God.
Okay, stop
I hope
recording
they
now.
never mixed.
Who knows?
Yeah. So all those kind of people walk through your life, Dad, and you got on. You got on well with all of them. You could get on with anyone really, and you kind of stayed out of trouble. Maybe they protected you. I don't know.
I didn't do anything illegal.
No, not much. So and so that was Dad's lot
Maybe
of
naughty, but not illegal.
Life. That was Dad's life in the 80s, and then once the poker machine started to, once they became illegal, it was hard for Dad to keep making money. And so, but Dad didn't want to stop, and that's I think when about the time he decided to go over to China to teach English.
When I was 60, yeah.
Yeah, when he was 60, and so Dad went over to teach English and absolutely loved it. So he kind of found a new lease of life.
And I found Lucy.
And yeah, I was getting to that. and it was over in China teaching that you're in Lanzhou. I think when you met Lucy, was it?
Shanghai.
In Shanghai, and that's when you met Lucy. And of course, Dad I guess has kind of been lucky most of his life. But probably the luckiest thing that ever happened to you was meeting Lucy, really, because Lucy's just been an absolute godsend for Dad ever since they've met, and it's been so good to him. And still to this day, when Dad is not so well, as you all know, Lucy's looked after him every day, all day, and stood by him, which we very, very much appreciate. And of course, Dad is very, very lucky because we still don't know what she sees in you, Dad, but anyway, there you go. So Dad sort of kept doing that for many, many years, and really has only just come back from China. Oh, then you went to Vietnam and met some more friends there, some more people who really care about you and want to see you again at the school in Vietnam, and now finally you're back here, but not really because you want to be, but because you're not well enough to really be travelling anymore.
No.
So here we are, and so yeah, it's kind of a real appraisal of Dad's life, very quick, but there's been lots and lots of good moments and lots of fun. When we were kids, we had so much fun. We went water skiing, and we went travelling all the time. We went to the polo. We went out to restaurants all the time. I mean, us kids had a pretty good life. Yeah, it was a good start. Yeah. And so raise a glass if you want one to Dad. Cheers, Dad.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Happy 77.
Well done, Kylie.
Thank you for a nice
Thanks
speech.
very much for coming.
Thank you for a nice speech.
That's all right. Do you want to have any words to say?
I feel a little obligated to say something. Alan is someone I've known over 50 years, just over 50 years ago I met Alan. Probably the circumstances when we first met, as Kylie said, Alan was involved in the amusement machine business. Alan had a jukebox at the Crystal Palace Snooker Club in the city. That was the sole machine he had at the time there. I can't remember the exact year, it was probably 68 or 69, but I can remember Alan putting a record, or one of the records he was putting into the jukebox at that particular time was Hey Jude, the Beatles song. Now we played Hey Jude on the jukebox the first time we had heard it. Alan and I both come to the conclusion that it was a terrible song, because at the end of Hey Jude it was just noise, the end of it. The other side of the Hey Jude record was Revolution, and we both agreed that, because you couldn't tell in those days which was the B side, which was the A side. We both agreed that Revolution had to be the A side. Hey Jude went on to become the highest selling record of all time when it went past Bing Crosby's White Christmas, so obviously we weren't very good judges. At the time I was working one day at the Crystal Palace. Alan had the jukebox. Ironically, probably within 18 months, 2 years, Alan had owned the Crystal Palace and I sublet it off him. So a lot happened. Well, obviously we weren't all that old, but a lot happened in that period of time. As Kylie said, Alan had pretty quick success. one of the things he went out and bought was an E-Type Jaguar.
Yeah.
Allan used to park the E-Type Jaguar out on George Street. At the time, I think it was a shilling or 10 cents an hour to put in the park there, or if you got fined, I think it was an $11 fine. Allan used to pay the parking police $10 a week so that you would never get a ticket. What happened one day was I came in and the E-Types parked outside the front, and Allan said, "Look, can you take it to the mechanics?" And I said, "Sure." So he gave me the keys. The mechanic wasn't far away in Surrey Hills. He gave me the key. I'd never driven it before. It was his new car, or relatively new. Started it up, started to drive down George Street. I went for the brakes and there's no brakes. So what I decided to do, there was a bus parked on the left-hand side. I said, I've got no option but just to ram up behind the bus. And then I remembered a conversation I had with Ian Smith that managed one of Allan's rooms, when he was getting followed by the police, and he didn't want to, and he was speeding, but he didn't want to put his foot on the brake, and the lights would come onto the back, and he used a handbrake. And I naively thought up until then the handbrake was just for parking. I didn't realise it could actually be used as an emergency brake. But anyway, I obviously put on the handbrake, and I actually went up behind the back of the bus, and probably about 3 or 4 foot behind the back of the bus. So I slowly drove it to the mechanics. When I come back, the first thing Allan said to me was, "I forgot to tell you what to tell the mechanic was wrong with the car." And I said, "Allan, it's all right, I found out by myself." Just trying to think of sort of, something that I've sort of learned from Allan, and probably we could all learn from Allan. I think Allan in his early days was obviously ambitious. It was things that he wanted to do. He obviously saw, the ambitions for a future. But what Allan has never had is unrealistic expectation. He's always had the ability to live his life at the present and accept what your life is at the present. And even though he's had ups and downs, I think that ability is always the thing that has actually got him through everything, because he just lived the present, he got enjoyment out of the present, and in doing that, I think he's definitely fulfilled a great life. He's not someone who ever regretted anything, but I think probably in talking to Allan in recent years, he did have a regret that he probably wasn't in a position now to do a lot more for his daughters, granddaughters, Lucy, the people that meant so much in his life. But I think Allan has led a great life. He's been a good person, a kind-hearted person. He would always do anything for anybody else. And it has been a pleasure to know Allan for the 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was very nice. Thanks very much, John. Very nice.
Drink on a glass of bread or wine or whatever. Or some of Dad's punch.
That'll do the punch. Punch sounds good.
That was 1983, something like that.
I left the party at 3 o'clock and had to be at work at that station.